evening to everyone, and thank you for having me today. My paper, Instrumental Competence, a core requirement in EU legal translation. Language has meanings that are shaped by time and culture and differ not only between nations but also between individuals. This is in contrast to other sciences like mathematics or physics, where knowledge is universal and unchanging. In this environment, research and translation studies could only offer interpretive information based on subjectively defined objects. Specialized languages are identified by their affiliation with a specific field. For legal language, this comprises terminology used in legal communication context, both within and outside of courts of law, and the specialized register is a component of the law file. Its main purpose is to be a tool used in the legislative branch of government. It is utilized in both the public and private sectors to address long-standing legal relationships. According to Primento Ramos, legal language is a specialized register that encompasses all judicial and public tools of legal competence, specialized writing and private relationships relevant to legal matters. The transition from handwriting to computerized translation has resulted in additional opportunities to influence the industry both internally and outside. According to one perspective, the perception of a translator competence has changed since 1954, when machine translation emerged as a major tool for cross-cultural communication and gained recognition. However, in the latter half of the 20th century, the translator was replaced by a computer, which was more accessible and less expensive. About the underlying process, translation no longer required many hours of research, material was easier to find, and the full terminological system was made available online to assist translators. This did not replace their skill, but rather raise it to a new level. With the widespread availability of AI and machine translation through a computer or smartphone, language is no longer a barrier to communication. In fact, the solution might be right in our pockets. It's also a useful answer for commonplace circumstances like reading a book or visiting a foreign nation. In private context, translation is understood in terms of general messages and simple terminology. However, when effective communication is required, the participation of translator is crucial because translation involves overcoming potentially insurmountable barriers in language matters, such as symbols, the physical aspect of language, or ignorance of a code system. At the level of the European Union, the translator no longer owns the words he employs, and the language is now the product of the institution rather than the individual. Rather, it's the result of a collective process in which reasonability is split while the institution retains its language privileges. The translator's name is no longer used in relation to the translation. Instead, the institution states the words. Translation stages. Pre-translation stages, receiving the source text and making any necessary upgrades after it has been verified that the text is ready for translation, that all pertinent information has been identified and prepared, that all specialized terminology has been emphasized and its close cultural equivalent has been found and prepared. Translation stage, the transfer of meaning from the source to the target language. Post-translation stage, quality control stage, includes both required and optional procedures that are reviewed by the translator or another translator who is qualified and competent. They include confirming that the client's requests and expectations are met. Post-translation stage, checking, a process of self-revision that is both before and after the translation is complete. It comprises fixing mistakes and completing any gaps to ensure quality and the content meets the requirements of the contract. Revision, understood as a mandatory stage, its goal is embodied in how well the translated language fits the document's objectives in terms of terminology, meaning, and register. Review, it involves a mission-related modification at the client's request. The review treats the translated text as an independent text that needs to be validated. Proofreading, its purpose is to improve the translated text prior to publishing. It includes a check-in from typographical errors as diacritical markings. Final verification is required and entails verification that corresponds between the request specification and the supply service. Post-translation stage and machine translation, the contribution of a translator whose proficiency is undeniable is typically required throughout verification phases to guarantee the revision and at the very least the final verification. The program assisted to handle the translation will handle tasks like checking throughout the process. Computer tools designed to identify and fix typographical or grammatical faults could be used as independent procedures to achieve the proofreading objectives, such as review in the form of reverse translation. Machine translation within the European Union, e-translation employed when human resources cannot provide practical solution for large-scale translation. When the content needs to be updated often, it's also a practical choice for digital communication. E-briefing was created to offer services for quick drafting. E-reply served as a tool for digital communication replying. The Leonardo supercomputer served as EU expanded the production of language models in all its official languages and translation-related AI services. Next generation computer-assisted translation environment, an application that facilitates cooperation between institutions about translation files. AI at EC Network. In 2025, it's projected that 2 new AI-based initiatives will launch, one concerning the online communication, one meant to offer accessible text for those with cognitive impairment. Paste and Go service, it was utilized for 115 pages in 2024 and offers translation services by copying content that is less than 600 characters in a specified field and then retrieving it by copying in the document. Use electronic databases, Eurovoc. It represents the multilingual, multidisciplinary thesaurus of the European Union. The content of the document in EULEX is described by its keywords, which are arranged in 21 domains and 127 subdomains. And Interactive Terminology for Europe is the terminology management system used by EU. Since 2004, it has been used by the EU organizations and bodies to gather, distribute, and oversee terminology. The project was started in 1999 with the intention of improving the accessibility and uniformity of its contents by offering a web-based infrastructure for all EU terminology resources. As examples, we have a parallel corpora, the official versions in Romanian and in English of the Article 3 of the Directive of the European Parliament and the Council of the Protection of the Environment through Criminal Law. And following, we have the official version in English with machine translation provided by Google Translate. It is emphasized the differences in the two versions, the official one and the machine translation version. We following have discussed the differences between the two versions, the machine translation and the official one in terms of meaning. And we can see that the words used in both versions are synonyms mostly, but the difference between them is the register. If the official version utilizes the formal register, in the machine translation, Google Translate employed the general language. We have in continuing or ongoing. One major difference, maybe it's the offenses versus crimes. They're not synonym. All crimes are offenses, but not all offenses are crimes. Here, the official version is the correct form, not only in terms of register, but in terms of meaning. Following, we have the official version of the same text and the artificial intelligence translation. We can see that the artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, was used, and the Google Translate version have mainly the same language. employed, and it's the case of the general terminology in comparison with the formal one used in the official version. Another example, it's about the Article 14 for the European Convention of Human Rights. As well, we have emphasized the differences. Here we can see that there are not so many differences between the official version and the Google Translate version, only enjoyment and exercise set forth and recognized. Here we have the definitions. Again, there's not a problem of register. Both versions employ the formal register in their translation, and the artificial intelligence versions is even more correct, if we can say so. Only the set forth and the recognized are differ in this comparison. As conclusion, since specialized registers do not adhere to the general language rules, structure, or meanings used in common communication, specialized translation cannot be contained within a portable device. The communication in the EU legal language is based on Latin and French borrowing, archaic meaning, technical register, repetition, polysemy, long phrases, impersonal style, passive construction, or nominalization, even though it's still in the English register. The combination of legal English, international legal English, and the language used by non-native speakers to indicate an institution's uniqueness in known as the EU legal English. Machine translation is a helpful tool in this situation, but is insufficient on its own. Translation serves as both a culture mediator and a legislative tool. The final output is the result of the labor of at least one translator and one reviewer, and is represent the institution rather than the individuals assigned to the task. The European Union has recognized the shift in the translation industry as a natural progression from typing machines to computers. Today, machine translation, online databases, and AI support are the standard, not the exception, and it takes all the necessary precaution to guarantee that translators have all the tools they need to provide the best translation possible in accordance with the objectives and goals of the institution. Here we have the bibliography, and thank you for your attention.